Hi there, I'm Joshua Finn from J&H Aerospace. This is installment number 2 of the 2019-2020 Wright Stuff Review Kit series. In the first segment, we discussed the debacle that is the rules this year, and this time we're going to be talking about the Sci'Orelief from Laser Cut Planes. When I got this, John put a note on here on my order, not liking this rule, have fun. So yeah, this whole thing has been a mess. So when I opened this, first of all, USPS literally stepped on the box that was in this was in. So I don't think it was damaged, but things are in disarray in here because USPS is almost as inept as the Science Olympiad Rules Committee. But anyway, I found, it was in one piece and now it's kind of separated out, but I found this, which looks like some shims kind of lying loose, so I don't know if that is extra or if those are critical to the kit. So this kit is stapled shut here at the top. That does mean that in extreme trauma, stuff can slip out the top there, and it's definitely exposed to extreme trauma. So we'll slide all that out. Let's look at contents. There's two more of those little guys, so I'm going to set these two with them, because I'm assuming they all are necessary. Alright, so a veggie bag for your covering, hard balsa for the fuselage, and then it's like here we go. So the part with the wing spars kind of popped loose. That happens with our kits too. This is just the center cutout for the rudder, so nothing critical there. And okay, so that batch of 3 of these was supposed to be in here. No, all of these were, okay. So yeah, just fair warning, stuff can slip out because those all were supposed to fit there. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. These little guys right here, 3 of the set of 5 had gone AWOL. So, excuse me, Caleb. I gotta get back to my work table. So anyway, what I'm gonna do here is what we'll do is I'm gonna read through the rules. Yeah, right. I'm gonna read through the instructions to look at all of this, and then I'll come back and we'll discuss how to build the airplane, and I'll walk you through it because laser cut kits are their kits are very easy to make, so this should go pretty quick. So we've looked through the instruction manual here. Included is some black Japanese Isaki tissue, the good stuff, and then there's a parts identification guide here that shows you what everything is. Let me rotate you up so my face at least isn't just, yeah, whatever. And very nice detailed instructions with all sorts of goodies in here. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to loosely follow through that. And so we'll build the plane out. So break off all that. This little sliver here, don't lose that. That's your wing slider mount. Fuselage is in fact quite long on this airplane, almost alarmingly so. So we'll see how all that goes. Now there's some discussion in the instructions about using CA glue and various philosophies on that. If you're reasonably experienced in building, your likelihood of coming out overweight is quite low, so I would not worry about that too much. That being said, the advice is solid about not using too much glue. However, 8 grams on a plane this size is a lot, so I would not worry too much about it. I'm a little concerned about flex with that long motor stick, but anyway. Anyway, let's go ahead and pop the rear hook out here. John uses these laser cut plywood rear hooks. Pretty cool. They can be a little bit fragile, not too bad. This is glueless about 2 inches aft of that splice. And I'm just guesstimating because, yeah, it looks about right. And, alright, so that's done. So next we'll build the horizontal stab. The horizontal stab on this airplane is not airfoiled. Parts cut quality is excellent, as I've come to expect from laser cut. Includes an extra rib, looks like. Something like that. So, parts fit is tight, not dangerously so. It's kind of just right. That one was a little tight. Might help to pinch the ends just a little bit. Make them slide in there better. Now, John actually recommends that you assemble everything and then glue it. I find that this glue is thick enough that that does not always work out so well. The glue just does not flow a whole lot. And there you go. So that's your horizontal stab. The ends, the instructions recommend cutting those after you're done. Keep feeling like I got something a little crooked. Not too bad though. And then next come the wings. And John likes to do this inverted construction method. I'll show you how this works. He also uses wings with very, very few ribs in them. One thing you'll notice about this airplane also is it is a monoplane. He did not even bother with biplanes, at least not to my knowledge. He may have been working with them kind of behind the scenes and just concluded that they were dreadful. But anyway, so you've got the center rib. You have to be real careful how you put it in there. and there's this little notch on the bottom of the ribs that is used to identify where the front of them is. So the reason why you assemble the wing upside down like this is, unlike in my kits where I use real skinny spars, he uses these fairly wide ones. And so if you lay them flat, you have this flat before your airfoil starts. Whereas if you assemble upside down, you can align this with the curvature of your airfoil, and you just get a real nice aerodynamic shape. And just one more. You did see that on camera. Yes, I broke the rib in 3 places. Not 1, not 2, 3. So the wood is very, very light. And yeah, one thing I will say, and this is kind of the philosophy we had on these, these airplanes have very high minimum weight, so I went with using very heavy wood wherever possible, and my planes still come out ridiculously light. Like, the last few prototypes I made were for the Mod 3 senior flyer, were using like 12-pound wood throughout, if not heavier, and they still came out a shade over 4 grams. So I was adding almost the airplane's weight in ballast. So anyway, after that, the next part of construction is to start covering this airplane. So what we'll do here I think the instructions do recommend doing what I do, which is use 3M77 for the covering adhesive. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide all this back. I'm going to lay out the veggie bag on here in a minute, but first I'm going to go out there and I'm outside and I'm going to spray 3M77 on all of the surfaces here, and then we'll set them down kind of off to the side here, and we'll lay out the covering, and then we'll put them on the covering. So we sprayed some 3M77 on all the surfaces, and now what I'm going to do is get out the veggie bag here and use a scrap of something here to cut the bottom of it open. As much as I hate using scissors, I'm probably going to have to resort to scissors here. Hey, the scissors fairy is here. All I have to do is mention them and she arrives. I have a wonderful wife. I have a wonderful wife who is jumping the gun and opening an ornithopter kit that's probably older than her. It's supposed to be opened on camera. Oh well.
Are you taking
Yeah, that's part of it. That shows authenticity. Pedigree. Whatever the words are. I don't know. Words are hard for me. They definitely include lots of covering because this is a fairly substantial veggie bag here. I don't know, maybe it's a normal size one. But anyway, laser cut does not provide a covering frame. Most companies don't, so you just have to carefully lay the thing down on here. You get one attempt and only one. This is why I like using a covering frame. If you wrinkle it, it's wrinkled. And it's staying that way. Admittedly, for last year's plane that I reviewed, I got a really nice covering job on it and then proceeded to filter it through, literally strain it through a tree, which brought it down in small pieces, and then I had to rebuild it, and the covering never looked quite as nice after that. Alright, so sounds like a zoo back in the boys' room. I will say, make sure you get the little laser burrs off of your flying surfaces, particularly the stab. The stab is very small, and thus is built to the absolute limits. By the way, here's where you just chop those end tabs off. The instructions say to do that. Or you can use scissors to snip them off, which is what the instructions really suggest doing. Anyway, there is the stab. I'm going to cut the wing out off camera so that you're not bored watching all of that. Covering, I always like the shiny side out. So I'm kind of surprised at the inclusion of Japanese tissue in this kit. Given the high minimum weight, it's not really necessary, and it's becoming increasingly scarce since it has ceased manufacturing and nobody else seems inclined to make it. Now I'm covering rudder here on the left side per the instructions, then that's the left side if you've got it facing up. This thing has a very interesting rudder arrangement that we'll go over. I don't know if scissors or razor blades better for this. I just naturally reach for scissors when I'm cutting tissue. What I grew up doing. I continue to find the problem-solving kits in these, problem-solving in these kits to be fascinating. Because John McGrath always has an interesting perspective on how to make an airplane. There's always some very interesting mechanical details to his kits. The only complaint I have is his time from order to arrival can be a little bit long sometimes. So if you're in a hurry, have a deadline or whatever, you may have some problems there. And I'm hearing my kids trying to destroy the house now. It's what little boys do. And in spite of lathering on the 3M77, I'm still concerned. I've found that 3M77 and tissue do not always make the strongest of bonds together. I've not figured out why, but the bottom line is it gets a little interesting at times. Alright, so covering's done. So at this point, I believe the instructions say to mount the, so we mount the wingtips to the outside, just like that. And since this airplane has no dihedral, you have to have the tip plates, otherwise it will not fly. There we go. Getting that right. Pinching. Okay, let's see. Alright, so wing, and now we move on to, and at this point it says to go ahead and mount the wing up, so that was what we will do then. So we got these really nifty, come out of there, wing mount clip thingies, and where did I put my, I knew this was going to be a problem. There it is. So these clip into the things on the bottom of the wing. like I said, mechanically these airplanes are, the laser cut kits always fascinate me because there's some unique problem solving that's done. Kind of like the nifty little gadgets and gizmos in the, what are they? The Steven Zero kits, except these are affordable. And I'm going to say to center this up in here. And I will mention both of the wing posts are the same length, so you don't have to worry about which one's which. Last season's airplane, you did have to pay attention to that. And there we go. We'll proceed on to the tail. There is this fairly fragile piece of 1/32 basswood in here. Now I would watch out because that little hole there, this really should be a little bit fatter right there because that's kind of on the fragile side. And orientation of this is very important. So there's this little notch thing at the front. Make sure you have that set up right. So this is going forward, so we've got some left rudder here, and with that we lay the horizontal stab upside down on this, so covering down. And we lay this guy in place. Making sure I'm looking at this, yeah, I am looking at it correctly. And this part is very important because the flight dynamics of the airplane kind of depend on it. Or at least I think they do. We'll see. Who knows? Haven't flown this airplane. I have no idea how it flies. I've never seen anyone else fly it. So this stands to be a learning experience for me. Anyway, center your rudder in that notch. There is a little bit of play in there, I guess mainly to allow for the covering, but there it is. And it's going to end up mounting onto the end of the fuselage. And there's these notch little things, so you can set how much rudder offset you want. There are dental rubber bands in here. They immediately go everywhere, of course. Looks like I'm going to have to double those up. Yeah, that's all I really know. Bottom line is you want to be really, really careful with this. And you have to, the instructions mention very clearly when you go to flip this over, take it off and then flip it over and then put it back on, because with that tension there, you'll break this piece of basswood. Really, like I said, I think that should be a little thicker. It's just, given the high minimum weight, I think you could make this quite a bit stronger and it would still be fine, because these are heavy airplanes for their size. Next thing is, let's go ahead and slip the rubber bands on here so we can mount the wing. One of the things that surprises me is John's ability to make this airplane's layout surprisingly similar to last year's plane. Now the next part is the part that is absolute crazy sauce. The propellers are tiny this year. I've mentioned that several times. And they are stupidly tiny. And his solution is to take a SIG propeller and glue these wooden gizmos on it. I kind of have my doubts about this, but he insists that they do work. We'll probably, I've got a prop like this cut down without these, and we'll probably try flying with and without and kind of see how it compares. So anyway, the bottom line is get enough glue on here to secure these pretty well. Say that's going to be the ugliest looking propeller ever, but if it works. Okay, so I got the other one of these crazy things glued on off camera. By the way, the reason for the slots here is to clear your nose bearing. So everything on here is for a reason. The one cool thing about these is that since they latch on close to the hub, you don't really have to measure the propeller as well, although I'm going to have to check because I've got one that kind of is sitting funny, so I may have to trim it down to go back and get it to go back and comply with the rules. But anyway, stick that on there, and the construction of the laser cut plane's Sci'Orelief is done. Here it is, with the craziest looking propeller I've ever seen on one of these. I don't know where it wants to be as far as CG or really or anything. I have no idea. I'm gonna throw one of those shims. I don't even, literally no clue. I don't think any of us know what we're doing on trimming these, but that's another issue. Yeah, those little tabs that kind of slip loose, those are your trim tabs. Or sorry, your shims for trimming. So at this stage, make a rubber motor. It includes these nylon plastic washers for use as your O-rings. I don't even have a good feel for how long the rubber motor should be. He probably says something in there about it. I know with our kits, I just include enough rubber for people to experiment because it's going to be different for everybody. I'll start out fairly long. I believe this is 3/32 rubber that's included. I actually did try flying our planes on 3/32, and due to the high propeller speed, I started exciting harmonics in the rubber motor, which means lots of vibration, which cuts down, basically reduces the amount of power you're getting out of the rubber motor. So anyway, what I'll do is glue and rig this up. The other thing is we need to weigh the airplane to find out what it came out to. Okay, so we've got the airplane out here with a scale and whatnot, so let's find out what it weighs. Okay, now that's interesting. It came out to 8.1 grams. So, I stand corrected on everything I said about building up to weight. Honestly, I don't know. I think the propeller and the motor stick, as far as the amount of beef in it up front, must be the contributor. Because, like I said, I don't know where the weight comes from. Because by comparison, our planes were, like I said, we're constantly trying to find ways to use up all that ridiculous weight. Anyway, that's an eye-opener, because I did not expect the airplane to come out anywhere near that heavy. Kudos, though, to John for finding out where to use all that weight, because, yeah, that's interesting. So we'll lube up the rubber motor here. Let's see if we can get it set up to do a little bit of flying. So what I've done is doubled up the rubber band, because I made it just slightly less than 2 times the hook to peg distance, so it's taut but not severely. The prop is kind of locked up as a result, but let's see how it glides. And, well, it's not turning, but I don't know. We'll see what happens when I wind it up some. I wound in just a little more than a single row of knots here, just to see what happens. Well, it does climb vigorously. Since the airplane went kind of straight, I just slipped this part right here off of the front notch, give myself a little bit more left rudder, and wound it up a little more. We'll just see what it does here. Okay, so I have flipped the tail upside down. It is a little bit fiddly to get all that in there, so you've got a time limit in competition, so having some jigs or something to pry those rubber bands up would be very good, because that's something you can get in trouble with. Like I said, this is kind of fragile back here, so that's not, if you break something during your time slot, you're gonna be hurting. So if you choose this airplane for competition, this is something to watch out for. Just wound up to a double row of knots again, and let's see what the pitch change, if any, is with the right turn trim. Ew. Okay, since the airplane was flying kind of nose level, I slipped another shim under the leading edge. Now that's going to give me more down thrust, so that may not work out so well. And then I increased my right rudder, whatever. Oh, that's not bad. It was starting to nose up there at the end. We'll give it one more go here. See if I can launch a little more nose up. Yeah. So I took that shim out from the extra shim out from under here and carefully stuck it right here. I don't know how well that shows up, but I pinched it at the front. The thing is, you got to be real careful because you don't want to break this thin tail boom. But anyway, let's try it now. Oh yeah, there we go, real nice. So the laser cut planes Sci'Orelief. What have we found out? Well, I was able to get the airplane flying both directions very easily with just a couple of adjustments that look to me like they're fairly repeatable. Performance looks like it's at least okay. I don't really have a feel for the thicker rubber and this crazy sauce propeller. I just don't have a feel for what the ultimate performance of this airplane is. I know it will fly well, and at least up through regional, and probably for some of you at state, this airplane will probably provide the performance you need. I don't know how much more it can deliver. I really don't have a feel for that. Just as I don't have a feel for with just the rubber bandy things. I mean, if you can see, I can shift this here that much, so you got to pay pretty close attention to that. Things are not as locked in back here as they are on Dave Ziegler's kit that uses a straight pin, or on mine with the pin that it uses. So, like I said, there's some issues you got to watch back here. But if you're calm and careful in your contest prep, you can make this work. As a sport model, honestly, I think this thing is capable of flying quite well. If you were to build this for fun with just the full-size prop, I think it would fly really nice. It'd be a really fun flying airplane. I can tell already. It's just a nice plane with the fatter propeller. The big thing that enables you to use is a thicker rubber motor, so you've got more power you're able to deliver. and that means that outside this airplane can perform fairly well in turbulence, like with HVAC on. This airplane's probably going to be able to do quite well in that scenario as well. I think this airplane may actually have something of an advantage in those environments because it's kind of a monster truck of Wright stuff in that regard. So all of that looks good, but like I said, I'll have to get it indoors and do some flying and see how it really stacks up against the other airplanes to really know. But honestly, I like the airplane. I think it's crazy and it's got some really crazy sauce stuff, but it's really cool too. I like how it builds out, and the kind of the construction as far as how everything interlocks kind of is what I said is my standard for how I proceed with flying. I was inspired to do all that on our airplanes by what LaserCut does with all of their interlocking parts. So anyway, with all of that said, get it? Sci'Orelief. Thumbs up.
Hi, I'm Josh Finn. This is Hope. We are J&H Aerospace.
If you like this video, hit the like button.
Also, how about subscribe to our channel and check out jhaerospace.com for new free flight products and all of the tooling that you'll need to build them.
Thanks for watching.